So some quick backstory, if you're not from Philly or weren't around this music scene between 1997 and 2007, you probably never heard of Sean Abu or Seeds of Evolution. Seeds of Evolution is the name of my first group and also the self-titled name of the album that I put out independently in the spring of 1998 on my indie label called The Sonar Recording Company. I only had enough money saved to manufacture a project, so we couldn't afford to go into a real studio, but we had grown attached to a mixtape I made of the rough demo versions of the songs we were working on that we recorded with basic analog equipment. So the album as it plays on the CD is the same cassette mixtape sent to the copyright office of 4-track demos that were ultimately packaged professionally on CD at a time when it was rare that an unsigned group had a proper CD demo. So the look of the album and the promotional materials were polished, but the actual music was not, and 4 of the songs on the album were also pressed on 12-inch vinyl. So I produced the beats along with John and Scott Weiss and Julian Griff, who were the other members of the group. I wrote the lyrics and I also drew the album cover, which was first just a standalone drawing I made, but I wound up using it as the album cover because the rest of the group really liked the concept. The concept came from studying the Islam of Saudi Arabia and wanting to learn how to draw Arabic calligraphy, which to me is like the dopest graffiti hand I'd ever seen. So while practicing that script, I came across a few prayers that kind of looked like this and gave me the general idea, something like this and this. But I wanted to draw it in a way that made it look more like a human head bowed in prayer. So I made room for a forehead here, added a closed eye here, moved the prayer/brain back a bit, added a border, and painted it with watercolors to make it look like the sky at sunset. Later, my bandmate Jules drew the Seeds of Evolution logo, and with the help of a graphic design student, I added the logo to the drawing. So when you look at the final image, you see the side profile of a person's head bowed in prayer with eyes closed at sunset. And the Arabic prayer lets the viewer decipher what the person is thinking while praying, and that's what makes it a clever drawing or album cover for my purposes. It's a visible and readable mind when normally you can't see what someone's thinking while they're doing something. The prayer basically translates to praise in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Do you see a familiar concept here? I also took some photos with the help of a friend for the CD booklet and used these photos alternately for promotional purposes. So I had about 1,000 stickers made of the album cover, and we made photocopied black and white flyers of the insert images to promote the release, our shows, and any related events. So in the spring of '98, we put these stickers and flyers everywhere in Center City, Philly, and the South Street area where you could buy music, see a music performance, go to a nightclub, grab a cup of coffee, get something to eat. Made sure that they were at every hot spot in the city that we anticipated our audience might be. And our marketing efforts got a good response from the indie crowd, particularly the album cover sticker, because the colors popped against the backdrop of the city and people liked the originality of the concept. The album had such good word of mouth that a year after its release, it found its way into the May 1999 issue of the CMJ New Music Monthly magazine, which was a big deal to us because the College Music Journal was an important source of independent music and new music in general. So back to the spring of '98, I put the sticker on all the 12-inch vinyl like this. We had about 300, and I consigned them in all the record stores in Center City and on South Street that sold indie hip-hop vinyl. I also had 300 CDs manufactured, and I was able to consign those at major retail chain record stores like Sam Goody, HMV, Tower Records, Strawberries Records, and other mom-and-pop shops that sold CDs as well. To consign something, for those who don't know, means to give copies of your work in advance to a store to sell stuff like it, and if they sell, you get paid and they order more. And if they don't, you get your copies back. You do this when you don't have a distributor. Since the album was basically a well-packaged demo, it was only released in downtown Philadelphia. So during the course of the spring, summer, fall, and winter of '98, we had all the important places in the city covered with stickers and flyers, had the vinyl and CD consigned in stores everywhere we could, and would give records and CDs away as promos at shows and at other venues. The point was to create awareness, get the word out, and just to see what we can do in terms of maybe finding a music manager to help develop our ideas and get us closer to a real record deal. At this point, I want to show you a timeline of the Roots album cover images up to the point of the Seeds of Evolution release to show you what they were doing visually with album artwork before the Seeds of Evolution album dropped and what they did afterwards. So we have Organics, which is a blank black canvas with white font. Do You Want More, which is a blue-hued group photo. We have Illadelph Half-Life, which is a panoramic sepia-colored group photo. I'm including the singles from Illadelph Half-Life because Seeds of Evolution dropped sometime after the last single from Illadelph Half-Life. So we have Clones, No Frills Design, Concerto of a Desperado, which is a gold-colored single jacket for vinyl, and What They Do, which is a Meet the Beatles-esque silhouette group photo. This is the point when the Seeds of Evolution sticker and insert images go up around the city and the vinyl and CD drops in the spring/early summer of 1998. Then fast forward to February 1999. The Roots released these alternate album covers for Things Fall Apart, such as this, 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 ultimately settling on this. And then in 2002, they released the album Phrenology.